Is using your camera's kit lens a complete waste of time, or could you be saving yourself thousands of dollars? Let's talk about that right after we roll this intro. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, I'm not your average Joe, and I am a veteran turned creator, and I'm here to help you find the creator within and turn passion into purpose. Today, we're talking kit lenses. So let me set the scene for you. Just imagine this. You've been working hard to save up, let's say $2,000. Let's also say it's a nice sunny April evening, right? You go on Amazon, you click on that camera, you wait for it to arrive, it arrives, and now you've got this $2,000 camera, no more money left over, and you're using a kit lens. Are you in trouble? Or is that exactly what you need? When I say kit lens, I mean that lens that comes with your camera in a bundle and usually saves you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Because let's be honest, lenses are not cheap, especially as you get into nicer and nicer ones. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of debate to whether or not you should actually go ahead and use that kit lens or ditch it all together for a different lens, an upgraded lens of your choice. And there's some pros and cons to that, but before we get into that, let me start off by saying that this video is actually being filmed with a Sony 28 to 70 millimeter kit lens right now. I just did that to prove a point. And before we get into anything, let me go ahead and switch over to my other lens. Ready? Do you notice a difference? I genuinely don't know. I'm not gonna know until I start editing this. And now this is the part of the video where I'm gonna talk to you about the pros and cons of kit lenses versus other lenses. And then afterwards you can decide for yourself whether or not it's worth spending $800 or more. Some of the pros for a kit lens are the fact that it's cheaper, significantly. You don't feel as bad about using it and beating it up. Usually they tend to be smaller, lighter, and more portable. The kit lenses are also great to learn on. They're usually image stabilized, so that's a huge bonus, especially as you're a beginner and as you kind of get into the craft, or if you just need to shoot handheld and don't have a Ronin or any other gimbal. And the focal range that you get from a kit lens is usually higher. You see the kit lenses will be from 18 to 135, whereas if you get those $2,000 lenses, it's usually a focal range of like 24 to 70 or 16 to 35 or 70 to 200. You're not getting the whole distance, you're getting like pieces of that with the other lenses, so you're spending more and getting just fractions of that. The cons of a kit lens, on the other hand, do include things such as the fact that it is a higher or slower aperture. You're not going to get that shallow depth of field with like talking heads, especially on the wider end of the spectrum. For the wide lenses especially, you need a really shallow kind of aperture, really like fast aperture to get the bokeh, whereas if you're shooting like telephoto, it's a lot easier. So if you do have one of those 18 to 135, you might be able to get away with a little bit of bokeh, but it's not gonna be the same. And also just the nature of the beast with kit lenses is the build quality isn't near as good. I mean, that's what they do. They get glass that isn't as good. They're using plastic instead of metal. And so you do get, you know, a cheaper lens, and it is gonna be lighter, more portable. But like I said, the build quality isn't gonna be as good. The other thing that kind of sucks is the fact that the thread sizes on the kit lenses are usually smaller. So if you already have lenses and an ND filter and stuff like that, you're gonna have to get like step up rings or a new ND filter for that, or they're usually smaller. You get a lot of the kit lenses that are like 67 millimeters rather than being 77 or 82. A lot of lenses are, you know, bigger, especially as you get into the nicer ones. That's a more common range. And finally, the only other con that I had for it was the fact that on most of the kit lenses, they're real simple. They might have like an autofocus button and they might have like an image stabilize button, but they're not gonna have like the infinity focus or the dial on the focus. You're gonna have to kind of like gauge that for yourself. You're gonna have to set up your manual focus. You're gonna have to play with some settings. You're not gonna get that nice like little window where it shows you the focusing like meter as well as the infinity focus. So for me, I've never found it a big deal, especially with the Sony. You can kind of do that in camera anyways. Plus I've got focus peaking on, so I always see where I'm focused exactly. And let's be honest, with stuff like this, autofocus comes in A1, so why not use it? Especially if you're getting started or if you have a kit lens, it's not gonna matter anyway. You just put it on autofocus and you just start shooting. That's one of the nice things about it. So I guess, yeah, it just depends what you're looking for out of your lenses. And on the other side of the spectrum, let's talk about an upgraded version of the lens. So obviously you're gonna get the lower aperture, the faster aperture, right? You're gonna be able to get that 2.8 on the G Master and out on the Sigma, which comes in really clutch, especially the closer I get here, the blurrier this is all gonna get. The farther I get, the more in focus it's gonna be. That shallow depth of field is really great for like talking heads, for photos especially, stuff like that, especially portraits. Typically, what you're paying for with the lens is the lower aperture and the build quality. So on the other side of the Pro, you're gonna have a nicer build quality. My Sigma, super robust. I feel like I could hammer nails into a brick wall with this thing. It's made of metal, it's got really high quality glass, and as a creator, it's excellent to grow into, right? To kind of upgrade your skills and to keep going, rather than just using a kit lens. Now with the upgraded lenses, you can start getting into manually focusing and everything else. You can do that with the kit lens, but it's a bit easier on the upgraded, more expensive lenses. It just is. And then the other thing, it's small, but it is still a plus. The nicer lenses have a more common filter thread. And so if you've got a lens at 77 and the lens is 82, you get a step down ring or a step up ring, you're good to go. And now you could mount ND filters and UV filters or whatever you put on the front of your lens, you know, on both lenses instead of having to buy a bunch of stuff for both of them. And with the pros must come the cons. Let's get right into that and then wrap up this video. So as far as cons go, there's one big one that people really get hung up on, and that's the price. Yes, they do get expensive, but if you are doing this, you know, professionally, if you're making money on it, it's a lot easier to justify than if you're a hobbyist. So as far as price goes, it just kind of depends on where you are in your career, where you are with a camera, what you're trying to do, and the goals you're setting. The other con that I found with this is that you're more paranoid in just kind of real life situations. If you're running and gunning, if you're getting some cinematography, whatever you're doing, you're just not going to kind of risk it for the biscuit, in the sense that you're not going to do whatever it takes for the shot with a G Master lens. Whereas if you have a kit lens on there, if you do hit the lens on the back or something, or if something does happen, you know, you're not gonna care about it as much. And the other big con that I found, like I said, there's not much, so this is the last one that I found personally, is the fact that you get less of a focal range. Like I was saying before, with the kit lenses, you get like an 18 to 135, or you just get this huge range with it. You'd have to put together 2-3 different lenses for that one kit lens, and so it can be really great in run and gun situations. But like I said, it just really depends what you're trying to do, where you're at in your career, and just whatever else. That's all I have for this video. Appreciate you watching. And what'd you think? Did you think the pros and cons were accurate? Do you have any pros and cons that you have yourself, or anything that comes to mind for you? If so, comment down below. I'd love to hear them. I mean, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Boom!